Ball schedule grind more than Ron Washington. Recently, the frustrations have mounted, but each day gives the Rangers a new opportunity to get back on track. Red-hot veteran Adrian Beltre will lead the charge as your Rangers look to right the ship tonight against the Twins. It is a beautiful early summer's evening here at Globe Life Park. The newest class of United States Air Force recruits just sworn in on the field. And the Rangers hope to follow that up with some swearing in of their own as they take on the Minnesota Twins. And welcome in, everyone, to a good Friday of Ranger baseball coming up, along with Tom Green, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us. And the Rangers trying to get off that losing streak. It now has reached 8 games, but they have a full in town that they've got good success against. They also have a guy on their ball club, and Alex Rios, who has played well this year against the Twins.
Alex has obviously had a good half a season so far this year, and in Minnesota a little while back, he had a really good 4-game series. The Rangers, as a team, had a very nice 4-game series in Minnesota. Alex doing in that series what he's done all season long. That's use the whole field, hit the ball in the gaps, run the bases, and play excellent baseball. On the season, he's the 8th hitter in the American League with a .308 average. Over the last 30 or 35 games, he's hitting well over 300. Last couple of games, he's struggled to get base hits, but hopefully Alex is going to have a series here just like the one he had in Minnesota.
And the series in Minnesota favored the Rangers by a 3-1 count. Rangers hitting very well in that series against the Twins. They hope to repeat that and hold the Twins down the way they did in Minnesota. It'll be interesting to see how this series gets underway here tonight. Well, we'll come back to Globe Life Park with the starting lineups and the first pitch right after this on TXA 21. AT TEX 21 is sponsored by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. By Globe Life, the official life insurance company of the Texas Rangers. And by TXU Energy, inspired by you. Well, a great evening out here at the ballpark tonight. Elvis Andrews and company getting set to take the field. Nick Tepes will be on the hill tonight for the Rangers. Rangers trying to snap that 8-game losing streak. They have not played well offensively. The pitching has been inconsistent, and they look to turn things around on both sides here tonight against the Minnesota Twins. The Twins coming in having just been swept by the Angels out in Anaheim. So Nick Tepes trying to deal up a dandy tonight. He is 2-0 lifetime against the Twins, so that bodes well for the 25-year-old right-hander. And here's the lineup that he will face tonight. It's put forth by Ron Gardenhire, the Minnesota Twins. Brian Dozier, the second baseman, leads off. Kurt Suzuki catches and hits second. Joe Mauer is first. Josh Willingham plays left field and bats cleanup. Kendrys Morales is now the DH. Oswaldo Arcia is in right field. Eduardo Escobar plays third and bats seventh. Sam Full back in the lineup playing center. And Pedro Florimon, the shortstop, bats ninth.
And we'll take a look at the scouting report for Nick Tepes. 2-3, 4.38 ERA in 7 starts. His first 3 starts were great. 2-0 at 2.95 ERA. Last 4 starts, he's had one good one in Seattle in there. The others have not been quite as good. 0-3 with a 5.79 ERA. He's had a couple of career starts against Minnesota, both of them in Minnesota, and they've gone great. He's won them both with an excellent ERA and a 2.45 opponent's batting average. So hopefully Nick will feel comfortable pitching against Minnesota, even though it's in Texas and not in Minnesota, and he'll tune up a beauty tonight.
Yeah, Nick Tepes will be backed up by this Ranger defense as we take a look at Ron Washington's men with the leather. Shin-Soo Choo back in the lineup in left field. Leonis Martinez center. Alex Rios is in right. Carlos Pena the start at first. Odor and Andrews up the middle. Luis Sardinas giving Adrian Beltre an evening off defensively. Chris Jimenez is catching, and Nick Tepes is on the hill. So the skipper has seen his ball club struggle overall. 8 in a row they have lost. They are now 16-22 here at home, and that maybe as disturbing as the 8 in a row. Home has always been a place for the Rangers since they've been at Globe Life Park to heal their wounds. And that has not been the case of late. First pitch of the evening to Brian Dozier is just off the outside corner. Ball 1. Dozier, a 246 hitter. 15 home runs, 38 driven in. And a chopper is foul outside third. The count evens at a ball and a strike. Dozier, a run-scoring machine. He leads the American League with 60 runs scored. And he's just one behind Troy Tulowitzki for the Major League lead. 1-1 pitch to him. That's pop foul behind home plate. And the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes.
I think you could make a pretty good case that Dozier is a strong candidate for the All-Star team. With his 60 runs scored, he's only hitting 246, but he's walked 50 times. That's the 3rd most in the American League, so he's got a very good on-base percentage for a leadoff hitter. And he's 10th in the league in home runs for a leadoff hitter, so he's doing a lot of good things.
Last 5 ball games, been swinging the bat very effectively, as that 375 average would tell you. Tepes again back to him. Rounded out to short. Elvis has it. Triggers the throw across, and that is out number 1. So Dozier grounds out. Now Kurt Suzuki coming up.
Well, you hope to see a lot of ground balls. I think that's a pretty good indication that Nick is making the ball sink and getting a lot of ground balls. That's kind of his game plan. Working on his assortment of off-speed pitches. Buzz, earlier in spring training, one of the things they wanted Nick to work on was his changeup. Might have been one of the reasons he didn't make the team coming out of spring training. Have you seen any signs that that is coming along for him?
Yeah, it's still not a major pitch for him, but he's throwing it a few more times during the ball game, and it just depends on how it feels to him on any given night. The breaking ball to Suzuki that hits the inside corner. He's learned how, though, I think, to take some speed off his curveball. You just saw it to Suzuki, and that's kind of the in between step, I guess, to a true changeup. Using that kind of as a pitch to get hitters off balance. Pitch fouled off by Suzuki, and the hot hitting catcher for the Twins down on the count now. No balls, 2 strikes. Suzuki 0 for 9, but for the year hitting at .308.
The last pitch might have been a changeup. If it was, it looked pretty good.
Tepish into the wind, and the pitch is skied to center field. Martin retreating, has room before he gets to the warning track, and backpedaling makes the catch for out number 2. But not nearly as humid tonight as it has been the last couple of nights with all the rain that had been in the area. So the ball, you can anticipate the ball carrying a little bit better. That wind blowing in from right field, the standard south wind. And normally that'll give you a little extra carry to right and right center.
You know, I was watching the game last night, Buzz, on TV, and there were a couple of balls hit by guys with pretty good power. And you guys showed the slow motion replay where there was no vibration on the bat, and those balls went to the warning track.
Yep. Yeah, one was by Cabrera, the other was by Beltre.
Yeah, Cabrera ended up getting a double on his. Yeah. If you see with that trajectory hitting the ball there by him, I would have thought easily into the bullpen.
Yeah, that's up there in the concourse most of the time.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was a very heavy air night. Beltre hit his ball to the 407 mark, and Jackson is able to run it down, which, when Adrian drives the ball that way, you don't expect him to stay in the park either.
No.
2-0 the count here to Mauer. Joe Mauer at 270, and he takes a strike from Tepish. Mauer a couple of home runs, 25 driven in. He has started to turn things around. That 7-game hitting streak has seen him hit .414 over that span, 5 doubles. 2-1 pitch. Hit hard, but Odor flags it down neatly to his left, on to first, and that'll do it. So a couple of ground ball outs in the first inning. Tepish has a 1-2-3 frame. On to the bottom of the first, no score. Nick Tepish and company in the top of the first. Rangers now coming to bat. And here's Ron Washington's batting lineup for you for the Rangers. Shin-Soo Choo back in that leadoff spot. Elvis Andrews playing short. Carlos Pena moves up to the number 3 spot. Adrian Beltre, a partial night off. He's DHing tonight. Alex Rios is in right field. Leonis Martin in center. Hitting 7th and catching Chris Jimenez. Luis Sardinez at third base. And batting ninth, the second baseman, Rougned Odor.
And the scouting report for Kevin Correa, he's 4-8 with a 5.02 ERA. That would indicate that he's really struggling. But in his last 3 starts, he's pitched a lot better than that. In fact, in his last 5 starts, he's pitched a lot better than that. 2-1 on 1.0 ERA, though, in his last 3 starts. He's also pitched very well against the Rangers. 3-1 in 5 games, 4 starts with an ERA around 2.5. Pitched a really good game last September against the Rangers.
Chu rips one off the glove of Brian Dozier and on into right field. And nice to see Shin-Soo Choo get up there and crack a base hit to start the game on.
Well, maybe Shin-Soo was happy to be back in the leadoff spot. I don't think he was ever totally comfortable batting third. He was down there out of necessity. But the Rangers signed him to be a leadoff hitter, and I know that's where he wants to be. And hopefully going back into the leadoff spot will get him back on track. There's a good look at the swing he puts on that 90-mile-an-hour fastball and the solid contact he makes with it. And one thing that would really help the Ranger cause is for Shin-Soo to get as hot as he was earlier in the season.
First pitch to Elvis is down and in.
Take your chances with the guys hitting after him. If he can keep getting on base like that, let someone else knock him in.
Exactly. We've been talking about the problem that Elvis has had is that he's come up and not had anybody on base in front of him, whether it's been the bottom of the order or whoever's been hitting leadoff. And boy, that's a big part of Elvis's game. He likes to have a guy at first base, so there's a larger hole on the right side. He can maneuver the ball that way, and it expands his game a little bit. He can do a few more things with it. 1-0 pitch on the move, and the hit and run was on, and Elvis chopped it foul. He got a pitch that was going to be tough to handle. Chu back to first, and you might expect that more so than just a straight steal with Chu at first base.
Correa's got a pretty good sinker. That was a high pitch. Elvis just got on top of it, but the middle infielders on a double play depth, which is shallow, close to second base, which really opens up the infield. And on a hit and run, one of them has to cover second, which really opens up an opportunity for a ground ball to roll through. You have to make contact and hit the ground ball.
Elvis on that last pitch showing a bunt and pulled the bat back. It was a strike anyway. So 1-2 now the count. Correa, not a big strikeout pitcher. Tries the breaking ball and can't get Elvis to bite. Kevin Correa, the 33-year-old right-hander, and Ron Gardenhire has Correa out there and is one of the mainstays of his pitching staff. This is kind of an interim step, I think, for the Twins and the development of their pitching staff. They've got another wave of younger pitchers coming up, and guys like Correa and Hughes, and trying to get those guys to fill in the blanks here for the next year or two before the young guys can take over. The 2-2 pitch. Now the count is full. Well, Elvis works the count all the way out. Chu at first. We'll see if he's moving on the next pitch. Carlos Pena, the third place hitter, is waiting to be next.
Well, Elvis is showing a little bit of an inclination to hit into double plays this year, so it probably is the opportunity against a guy who's not a strikeout pitcher to start the runner.
There goes Chu. The pitch is chopped to third. Play by Escobar across the diamond, and Elvis is out. Chu stays at second. He's there with one away now, and Carlos Pena coming up. Let's take a look at the rest of the Twins' defense tonight behind Kevin Correa. Outfield with Josh Willingham in left, Sam Fuld in center. Oswaldo Arcia is in right. Bauer, the first baseman, he has made no errors this year. At first, Brian Dozier and Pedro Florimon up the middle. Saw Eduardo Escobar at third, and Kurt Suzuki is catching tonight. The one out, here is Pena. Carlos in his fourth game now. It's being recalled from AAA Round Rock. First pitch is off the plate inside for ball one. Pena, a 182 average. He's 2 for 11. Has one home run, one RBI. And against Correa over the years, he's gone 4 for 11. Outfield, I should say infield, and very much an overshift against Pena. A rip and a miss evens the count. Florimon, the shortstop, on the first base side of second by about 3 steps. Third baseman Eduardo Escobar, because Chu is at third, has to stay near the bag at third. And out in shallow right field, Brian Dozier, the second baseman. 1 ball, 1 strike. Correa reading the series of signs. from Suzuki. 1-2. Throughout his career, Carlos Pena, he's had a few opportunities with runners in scoring position. A .231 career average, but 525 RBI. 70 of his 286 career home runs have come in these situations. Now Correa having trouble getting together with Kurt Suzuki for the selection of the next pitch. Now Pena back in. Correa again reading the signs. The right-hander's ready. In the dirt. Pena would not offer. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Shin-Soo Choo began things by singling off the glove of Brian Dozier. A hard hit line drive. He's now at second after the ground out by Elvis Andrus. 2-2 the count to Carlos Pena. Choo, a modest lead right there at the bottom of your screen. And again, Correa backing off the pitching rubber. Like Shin-Soo Choo is about ready to offer him suggestions for what he should throw. Now time was called. Suzuki going out to have a chat with Correa.
If you look at Correa, especially over the last 5 years, he's kind of been the definition of a 5th starter. Maybe a 4th starter, but he's about a 500 pitcher, and he's been that almost every year. 12 and 11, 10 and 10, 12 and 11, 12 and 11. Last year he was 9 and 13. ERA of somewhere over 4, less than 5. He's not a top of the rotation guy, but he's a solid bottom of the rotation guy. Throws a lot of strikes, keeps you in the ball game.
Check swing, and he went around the appeal down to third, and John Tumpane said, yep, he swung at it, and down on strikes is Carlos Pena. There are 2 outs.
Pretty nice cut fastball, it looked like. A little sharp break right at the end. Yeah, it looked like he could not quite hold up on it. See that ball come off the plate. That late movement was why he tried to check his swing, and also why he didn't make any contact when he did.
Oh, 2 away. Now here's the hottest Ranger hitter, Adrian Beltre. Beltre in his career against Correa, 5 for 19, but Adrian hitting 325 for the year. He is tied for the team lead with 8 home runs. He is the team leader with 38 runs driven in. Well, hard to imagine that this is the Rangers' 79th game of the year, and to have their team leader be under 40 RBI. Been a while since we've seen that. Chopper foul by Beltre, and Adrian now down in the count, and no balls and 2 strikes. Also been a while since we have seen the team leader in home runs have 8 as we approach the halfway point.
It had been a long time since the Rangers were 16 and 22 at home after 38 games.
That goes back to 2003, I think, was the last time that they
had
those few wins.
16 and 22 has a lot to do with what you're talking about.
Yep.
Less than 40 RBIs and 8 home runs.
Nice block by Suzuki. He keeps Choo at second base, and the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes.
Nice job by Suzuki, veteran catcher back there. Rejuvenated his career this year. A little bit on a downturn after a couple of good years when he first came up with Oakland. He's having an excellent season right now.
Beltre back in. Choo with the lead from second, and Correa checking the signs out from Kurt Suzuki. Right-hander agrees. Checks second. And the 1-2 pitch. Another one in the dirt. And again, Suzuki able to keep that very near home plate. Correa giving Suzuki a little practice on blocking the breaking ball. Not that he needs it.
Or wants it.
Or wants it. Now Adrian asked for time. Correa having a tough time. When you see a veteran pitcher and a catcher, a veteran catcher, having trouble early in the game like this, Correa is going against what he has traditionally done as far as pitch selection. He's confusing his catcher along with the opposing hitters most of the time. Outside, the count is now full. So Correa has gone from 0-2 to 3-2, and Beltre trying to extend this first inning. Alex Rios, the Ranger right fielder, is going to be next. A lot of times the pitcher will come out of the bullpen after warming up and say, you know, my stuff doesn't feel normal. I'm going to have to be a little bit different than I normally am, and forget to tell his catcher. Next thing you know, he's shaking off signs right and left. Payoff pitch is on the way. Well hit right center field. That is up the alley and deep. That ball is gone.
Is that the difference you're talking about between tonight and last night?
That is the difference. Adrian Beltre with his 9th home run of the year, a missile into the Ranger bullpen, and Texas on top early, 2-0.
Watching the view that the people watching at home saw behind the pitcher when he made contact, and then looking down to the field and watching it as it went past second base, I did not think that was a home run off the bat. But last night, just the opposite. It looked like a long home run. This looks like a double in the gap. You say to yourself, when this ball is hit, get over his head. And it just kept on going right into the Ranger bullpen.
It got over his head and a couple other heads,
that
too.
thing shot out of here.
Florimon handles that ground ball off the bat of Rios, and that will do it. But Adrian Beltre with his 9th home run of the year, a 2-run blast, and he gets the Rangers on top after one, 2-0. Nice to see. It's been a while since the Rangers jumped on top of the opponent. Now Nick Tepesch going back out, see if he can throw up a shutdown inning here in the second. He will face the middle third of the Twins order. That'll be Willingham, Morales, and Arcia. Tom told you Nick Tepesch against these Twins. One of just 2 teams that he's beaten twice in his career already. He is 2-0, and this is the first time that he has faced them in his home ballpark here at Globe Life Park. Josh Willingham, the cleanup man, steps in hitting at .248. 7 home runs. One of those coming against Nick Tepesch. 23 RBI. Tepesch into the wide. The first pitch of the second inning is on the outside corner for strike one. Willingham just 1 for his last 9 now. 0-1 pitch. Mentioned the Twins were in Anaheim the last 3 days. They were swept by the Angels. Offense for Ron Gardenhire's club didn't show up glaringly there. Angels got in a pretty good hot streak.
Yeah, the Angels have won 6 straight. I think when you look at the Angels, it's not a surprise that they've won 6 straight and that they're playing great baseball. The biggest surprise is how bad they've been the last couple of years with the talent they've got on the team.
Jam shot over to third, cut off nicely by Sardinas. And Willingham is out at first, 1 gone for Morales. Our Globe Life quote of the night from the starter, Nick Tepish. Anytime your team puts up runs, your job is to have a quick inning, put up zeros, and I didn't do that his last time. He was talking about he was in a lot of deep counts and they saw a lot of pitches, and anytime the hitters see a lot of pitches, it makes your job harder. And if you were wondering if Nick Tepish has progressed over the last year plus, yes, that quote right there would tell you that he is learning things and putting them to good use now. And he gets a strike to Morales.
And here's a good example of the inning that he's talking about. Rangers put up 2. So see if we can have a 13 pitch inning, 1, 2, 3, and get back in the dugout.
Morales hits one hard. Nice play by Odor. Sitting down and spinning around.
That'll help you have a 13 pitch inning and make a play like that. That was smoked. I think Odor, when he went down, he was thinking, number one, I'm getting out of the way. I hope I can catch that ball. And when it went in the glove, he was happy and probably just as surprised as the rest of us. What a play. Boy, he watched that ball all the way into his glove,
sure
too. That was a beautiful play.
Made himself real small. So oh, man, what a play by the youngster.
Yeah, that'll make you smile.
Well, 2 outs. Now Arcia steps in. Powerful left-handed hitter. Rip and a miss. I'm going to show you a little leather from Rougned Odor. With Morales running, he knew he had plenty of time to hang around for a minute before he threw to first. Arcia fouls that pitch back, and very quickly the count is 0-2.
Yeah, I mentioned that Nick wanted to come back out and have a quick inning after the Rangers scored 2, maybe have a 13 pitch inning. If he can get an out right here, he'll have 21 pitches after 2 innings. That'll be pretty good.
Tepish to the wind, the 0-2 pitch. Couldn't get Arcia to try and climb that ladder. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Arcia, Ranger fans will remember that series at Target Field. Just went crazy against the Rangers. He had a home run and a couple of very big RBIs, but he's down on strikes here. And Nick Tepish did indeed have a quick 1, 2, 3 innings. Retired 6 straight. After 1.5, Rangers 2, Twins nothing on TXA 21. thoughts on Ron Washington's call from the pregame interview to Mark McLemore at 469-209-2121. And if you read your text on the postgame show tonight, you'll win a $50 Sporting Goods gift card, courtesy of Metro PCS. The Rangers on top by a pair, courtesy of Adrian Beltre and his 9th home run of the year. Leonis Martin leading off. Takes strike one from Kevin Correa. Leonis at 271 for the year. Dropped back down to the 6th spot by the skipper in the batting order. And it looks like Ron, after what General Manager John Daniels said about development now is the focus, and not so much wins and losses, but seeing the team and the individual players get better. Wash has gone back to the lineup that he would hope he could have written down, minus obviously the players that aren't there, but their spots are in the same spot. Chu's leading off, Andrews second. Carlos Pena is batting third. He had hoped to have Prince Fielder batting third, but still the first baseman. Beltran cleaning up, Alex Rios, then Leonis Martin at the bottom of the order. So it looks like Wash has said, okay, we'll set the order up as if we had those guys here, and go from that point. And you had mentioned a time about having Chu back in the leadoff spot. I think that's probably the best place for him.
Yeah, I think it makes sense having him there. That's where he's most comfortable. That's where he can do. That's where his attributes come into play as a leadoff hitter. On base percentage, getting on base, and then it's up to mix and match and find the guys that can knock him in. But with him in the middle of the order, now you really don't have a leadoff hitter, and Chu's not comfortable hitting third as a run producer.
Right.
So you're kind of missing out in both spots.
1-2 pitch. Line to center field. In a hurry, a slide by Fuld, and he came up with it. A backhanded slide. That ball was slicing back to Fuld's right, and it looked like it was sinking too, and he came in and got kind of a half dive, half slide to make a great catch.
Yeah, it almost looked like it might have been knuckleballing on him the way he came after it, but he picked it right off the ground. That's the bottom line. He made the catch. I didn't think he caught it watching it at first, but he definitely did. Good call by Paul Narton, the second base umpire.
Well, Sam Fuld, who was not with the club when we saw them last month at Target Field, welcome re-addition to the Twins. One gone. Here's Chris Jimenez. Pitch outside for ball one. Jimenez 327 with the average, no home runs, 7 driven in. This is 15th game. He has hit safely in 13 of the first 14 games that he has played with the Rangers this year. Hit high in the air down the right side, but that will slice back into the crowd. And it moves the count to a ball and a strike. Rangers 8-6 record-wise in the 14 games that Chris started before tonight. Correa just missing off the outer corner. And the count is 2-1. Jimenez, in that series we were talking about in May in Minneapolis, went 4 for 8 against the Twins. Florham on the shortstop gobbles that ball up, and is out number 2 here in the second. No, base is empty now. It'll be the switch hitter Luis Sardinas to come up and face Correa. Sardinas getting the start at third base tonight, giving Adrian Beltre a partial night off.
Yeah, someone asked Wash about the partial day off for Beltre. Beltre's the DH is working pretty well so far in the game for him. Wash said he hasn't expressed any displeasure about not playing third base tonight, but I don't think he's seen the lineup yet. So he was expecting him to look at the lineup and come in and try to talk himself back into third base. But Wash said he would deal with that if it happened, and evidently if it happened, Wash won the argument. Adrian's DHing tonight.
Sardinas, a slow roller down to first. Tough play, a dive by the pitcher, Correa.
Wow.
And he got the bag ahead of Sardinas.
What a play.
What an athletic play by Kevin Correa.
I didn't see that one coming.
I didn't either. Oh, I had great job by the pitcher getting off the mound. And as a result, the Rangers down in order as Kevin Correa helps his own cause. We're going to the third at Globe Life Park. Rangers 2 and the Twins nothing. We head to the top of the third. Let's welcome in Jane Slater. Jane?
Good evening. Well, this season, almost 200 RBI participants will enjoy Rangers games and pizza, courtesy Papa John's. And a lot of these kids that are participating in the North Texas RBI program are enjoying it this year. Of course, that is supported by the Texas Rangers. For more on the foundation, to find out how you can help, go to www.texasrangers.com/foundation. Back to you.
All right, Jane, thank you. Nick Tepish to the hill here to start the third inning. He'll work to the bottom third of the Twins order. It'll be Escobar, Fuld, and Florimon. Rangers with the only 2 hits of the ball game thus far, and Escobar, 284 hitter, takes a breaking ball that nibbles at the inside corner for strike 1. Escobar, a switch hitter, couple of home runs, 16 driven in, and he shoots one foul down the first base side. Scott Ulger, the first base coach, a little practice. Third base coach on the other side of the field, Joe Vavra. Pitch is high, and the count moves to 1-2. Tepish reading the signs, and Nick ready. Well, you got him on the fist. Sardinas unloads, and Escobar is out. Wow. That ball almost didn't have enough steam to get out past the grass.
That's about as far as you can get hit on the handle without hitting your hands.
Doink.
Yep, good start for Nick. There's been 1 ball hit in the air. There's been 5 ground balls now. That's a good sign, and a strikeout.
Well, 1 out here in the third inning, and Sam Fuld, batting at .222, steps to the plate and takes a strike. Fuld, a home run and 11 driven in for the Twins. Kind of a baseball odyssey before settling in with the Twins, and he promptly bangs one over the head of Rougned Odor, who was pulled in, respecting Fuld's ability to bunt. Odor in just in front of double play depth, and Fuld hit a little soft line drive that carried over. Where Odor is, not that it would have made any difference. It's just you don't normally see a middle infielder pulled in that far with nobody on base. But that's the first hit of the evening for the Twins against Nick Tepish. 1 on, 1 out for Pedro Florimon. Florimon, also a switch hitter, he has really struggled. A chopper on the first base side. Only one play for Odor, and that's the first. Florimon is out. Sam Fuld into scoring position now. He is there with 2 outs for Brian Dozier.
The Twins have a couple of guys on the disabled list that are kind of key players for them. Trevor Plouffe, Danny Santana, a couple of infielders are on the disabled list. And it's kind of funny, Buzz, every time a team comes into Texas or when we go to another city and you talk to the announcers or representatives from the other team, they're always embarrassed to mention that they have injuries when they talk to anybody with the Rangers.
Yeah.
They'll say, look, we've got a couple of injuries, but we're not complaining about it now. We know you guys have had more.
Yeah, that's pretty much universal. Everybody feels empathy but no sympathy.
No, that's kind of the way it goes. At least they won't complain about their own injuries.
That's right.
Of us. That's Dick Bramer on our right, Bert Blyleven on the left, Hall of Famer. Veteran Twin announcers.
You can get some sympathy from Bert every once in a while. Very little. 1-0 pitch to Dozier. A breaking ball catches the inside corner. It's 1-1. Dozier a ground ball to short his first time. Our pitch tracker showing it should be 0-2, but it's not. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tepish, a check of second, and the pitch to Dozier is fouled away on the first base side. But Nick Tepish tonight throwing a lot of strikes. 32 pitches now, and 24 of them have been strikes.
Brian Dozier was an 8th-round draft choice out of college. Went to Southern Miss. In his minor league career, he had over 1,400 at-bats, and he hit 16 home runs. Now, he wasn't a high school kid. He was a college kid, so he was in his 20s when he signed and only hit 16 home runs in his whole minor league career. And he's 10th in the league with 15 now in the big league, so figure that one out.
And he's gone on strikes here as Tepish went up the ladder a bit. So Nick gives up a single, but leaves the runner stranded. We finished 2.5 at Globe Life Park. It's the Rangers 2 and the Twins nothing on TXA 21. Is sponsored by Sports City Toyota. Log on to sportscitytoyota.com. Beautiful blue skies overhead. The sun setting in the west, or starting to. Head to the bottom of the 3rd inning, and Rougned Odor leading things off against Kevin Correa. Takes high for ball one. Odor, a .282 hitter. 3 home runs, 17 driven in. Correa's next pitch to him is right down through there. A ball and a strike. Rougned got the evening off last night and just 1 for 7 in the 3-game series just completed against Detroit. It's fisted. And that pitch is chopped down. But Rougned making his presence felt before he ever came to the plate. Great defensive play on the smash by Kendrys Morales. Well, it has been fun to watch him turn in some plays that great instinct. 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging in the dirt. Suzuki will complete the strikeout with the throw to first. And Odor retired. That's 1 away. Now back to the top of the Ranger order for Shin-Soo Choo.
Good overhand curveball by Correa, breaking straight down. Looks like a strike to the hitter. Turns out to be a ball almost in the dirt. Correa, not a hard thrower, not a real strikeout pitcher, but that's a pretty good strikeout pitch, the curveball. Throws a lot of cut fastballs that he tries to jam left-hand hitters with. That also is a pretty good pitch for him. And as we mentioned earlier, even though his ERA is over 5, his last 5 starts have been pretty good. His ERA is in 2s over his last 5 starts.
And the
Twins
Twins
a little bit of a roll.
Yeah, the Twins haven't, until the last few starts, haven't really blessed him with a lot of run support. He has the lowest run support of any starter for the Twins. But it's still over 4 runs a game. It's not like they've just been shut out every time he pitched. 2-0 the count to Shin-Soo Choo. Choo began things by hitting a hard line drive that went off the glove of Dozier for a base hit. 2-0 pitch. Now 2-1.
Correa got on a pretty good roll at the end of the season last year. In his last 9 starts, he had a .275 ERA. During that stretch, he beat the Rangers back in early September here in Texas. Pitched a really nice game. 7 innings, 5 hits, only gave up 1 run. He's one of those guys, if he's got excellent command of his pitches, then he can shut you down. But he doesn't have the kind of stuff that he can afford to be off. Missing his target, hitting the middle of the plate. That's when hitters have some success against him. But I guess that's true with any pitcher. He wouldn't be in the big leagues.
Yeah, he just doesn't have nearly as big a margin for error as a guy that throws harder would have. 3-1 to Choo. And Choo is 2 for 2. He bangs that one right back through the middle.
Get me back in the leadoff spot, Coach.
No kidding. I don't think you'll get any argument at all from Ron Washington on that.
A couple of good swings and fastballs that he gets a little bit out, gets the bat out in front of. So many times during his slump, you'd see fastballs like that he just let get way in on him. It just wasn't putting a good swing on him that we saw for much of the first month and a half of the year.
The 1-on, 1-out. Here's Elvis. Chopper to third, could be 2. The second, the return to first in time. Around the horn double play. And for the Rangers, that is the 77th double play they've hit into. We're going to the 4th inning. 2-0 Texas.
On Sunday, the Rangers wrap up a 3-game set against the Twins. And for the first 10,000 kids, 13 and under, like Anthony here, they're going to get an Adrian Beltre bat. Now, you said Adrian Beltre is?
My favorite player.
That's what I like to hear. All right, so that's for the first 10,000 kids 13 and under, brought to you by Ticket.com. It's also Ice Cream Day. So the kids 13 and under, they get ice cream for $1. That's Bluebell Ice Cream Sunday. So get your tickets, and you can do that by going to TexasRangers.com or calling 972-RANGERS. Guys, back to you.
All right, Jane, thank you.
Nice job. That's all yours.
Now, Nick Tepish back to the hill. He will start the 4th inning. And he will face the Twins' number 2 hitter. That's Kurt Suzuki to start things. And Tepish very economical through the first 3. He's allowed just 1 hit. That was the only base runner, a 1-out single by Sam Fuld in the 3rd inning. Nick Tepish, 33 pitches is all on 25 strikes. He's only had 1 batter see more than 4 pitches. First pitch is way outside to Suzuki.
Probably haven't been many times in the last 4 years where Suzuki has hit second in the lineup. When he first came up with Oakland, he had a really good year, where he hit in the 270s, close to 280, hit some home runs, knocked in over 80 runs. Last few years, he's struggled offensively. He's having a nice year this year. He's in the top 10 in hitting. Very difficult to strike out. He's only struck out 20 times.
2-0 pitch. Chop toward the hole. Elvis straightens up, fires, and gets it. Nice play by Elvis. Very easily made by the all-star shortstop.
Elvis knows he's got time, so he has plenty of time to get his feet underneath him. Doesn't have to put too much on the throw. Just make sure he gets it over there accurately.
So 1 out, another ground ball from Nick Tepish. And Joe Mauer now will hit with the bases empty. Mauer hit the ball right on the nose the first time, but he grounded out to second base. Tepish trying to drop that breaking ball in, just missed. A good look mechanically at that throw from Elvis. See the true backspin.
Probably pitch with that motion.
You sure could. Sure could. It's amazing. You think about all the different players in different positions, and you watch their throwing mechanics on just a normal standard throw, and all the mechanics look almost identical. Whether it's the catcher or the shortstop or an outfielder, it looks like somebody's saying, "Okay, now you're on the mound. Now you're going to pitch with that." That's how guys just naturally throw. Of course, some of the specialty throws now they look a lot different.
Yeah, now if Ben Rowan goes in the hole and comes from down underneath, that might stand out.
Yeah, you would. I wonder how high you have to start that thing to keep it in the air all the way across. Now a rip and a miss, and it's 2-2.
It's kind of a little unusual to see Suzuki hitting second. It's very unusual to see Mauer swing and miss at that pitch and be hitting 270. One of the things that's hurt Mauer is the new ballpark in Minnesota. Can't hit the ball out of it. And the shift. Outfielders are playing him way around toward left field like a right-handed pull hitter. And without the power to drive the ball out of the ballpark or consistently drive it over their head, they don't have to play that deep. And a lot of those line drives that he's hitting the gap to left center or down the left field line, there's someone there to catch it now. Had some injuries over the years. Not sure whether that's taken its toll, but to see him halfway through the year hitting 270 really stands out.
Tepish got that pitch in on him, and Mauer had to fight it off. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Against the Rangers. Rangers have bottled him up pretty well. 73 games in his career, just 226.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty alarming stat. I wouldn't have realized that, because that's during the 3 years he won a batting championship.
That's line to left field, sinking in a hurry, and Chu will put the brakes on and play it on a hop. That's pretty much vintage Joe Mauer right there.
Yeah.
Going down and getting a pitch down and away and lining it to left for the 1-out single.
You can't win batting championships without making solid contact, and he does make solid contact. Mauer before he got his huge contract, had the year at the Metrodome where he hit 28 home runs, a lot of other offensive stats to go along with it. But since that time, the last 4 years, he's only hit a little over 30 home runs. The new park has not been kind to him as far as the long ball goes. He could hit the ball out to left field in the Metrodome,
right?
Because it just wasn't that hard to do. But he doesn't have the kind of power that he can drive the ball out of the new ballpark to left field. Still a great hitter, but power has not been part of his game the last few years.
Well, he's at first now with Josh Willingham at the plate. Count of 1 ball and no strikes. Tepesh okays the sign. He's back to the plate and misses high. And now Chris Jimenez is going to go out and have a chat with his tall right-hander. Little pep talk by Jimenez. Swat on the rear and say, go get him, guy. You got this guy under control. Willingham 1 for 6 against Nick Tepesh. Good candidate for a double play if you can get him to roll over on one. Tepesh with the 2-0 pitch. Tried to. Chopped it foul. It's 2-1.
I think the Twins are probably hoping that Willingham can get really hot and maybe be a little bit of a trade chip around the trade deadline to a contender that's looking for a big bat in the middle of the lineup. He's only a couple of years removed from driving in 100 runs and hitting 35 home runs. So last year he was injured.
Way inside and hit him. Looked like an off-speed pitch from Tepesh. Just slipped out of his hand. So the hit batter, they're now 2 aboard with 1 out for Kendrys Morales.
Yeah, it might have been his changeup we were talking about earlier, Buzz.
I think you're right.
Oh, if you're a hitter, that's probably what you would pick. Get hit by a changeup on the pad you're wearing on your left arm. Say thank you for that base, and it didn't hurt at all.
Don't even have to rub it at all. So a base hit and a hit batter, 2 on, 1 out. Kendrys Morales, who really scalded the baseball, but was picked clean by Rougned Odor his first time. We'll step in. You know, you're talking about Willingham maybe being a trade piece in about a month or so. From that standpoint, did it surprise you that the Twins signed Morales?
I took it, and I don't know. Terry Ryan, I love Terry Ryan. He's their general manager. He's one of the best baseball people, nicest guys you'll meet in the game. So I don't want to speak for him because I don't know. But when they signed Morales, I thought that, you know, they thought they might still be in the race and they needed a big bat, and he could provide that for them. But if it turned out they weren't in the race, then they might be able to turn around and trade him for something. And he could be the same kind of guy that Willingham might be for him. If you get Morales hot, you might have a guy that could be very valuable to a contender.
Yeah, that if you were thinking on that line, that would make a lot of sense. To center field, here comes Leonys Martin. The ball hit hard enough that Martin able to make a fairly easy catch on it. So Morales has hit 2 ropes tonight, and he's 0 for 2.
That's one of those balls, if it's hit to an infielder, they're catching it, and it's not easy. It almost knocks the glove off their hand. Martin is so deep in center field that it doesn't affect him the same way, but he still doesn't have that ball all the way right now. Watch him have to move his glove over to his left, and he's got that look on his face like that might hurt my hand when it goes in the glove. That's how hard Morales hit that ball.
There's no doubt he can still swing the bat. Well, he is something. So 2 gone. Here's Oswaldo Arcia. Arcia, a strikeout back in the 2nd inning. He's got Mauer at 2nd, Willingham at 1st. Tepesh to the plate. It's just off the corner of the strike zone. Arcia 202 for the season. Tepesh next pitch spins him around.
How'd that miss him?
I don't know. Looked like the cut fastball that time from Nick, and got inside a lot. Well, Nick now working from behind in the count at 2 balls, no strikes. Right-hander to the plate. It's high. 3 balls and no strikes. Tepish, a bit of a jam here. You can't assume that Arcia is going to have the take sign on in 3-0. Not with his power.
Not at all.
Got Eduardo Escobar, the third baseman, the singles doubles hitter in the on-deck circle.
Arcia is not hitting for much of an average, but he's a better hitter when it's 3-0 than he is normally. And you're right, Buzz. He does have some power. He didn't see a fastball either.
No. 3-1 now the count.
I think the Rangers were thinking right along with you on that one. Backdoor cutter, it looked like. Got the call.
Tepish leaning in to get the sign. Hour away from second. The 3-1 pitch. High and tight, ball 4. And that'll load him up for Eduardo Escobar. It'll also bring Mike Maddox out of the Ranger dugout. Tepish working himself into a little bit of a hole here. That walk, the first that he had issued tonight, also had a hit batter and a base hit in the inning. Well, fans, Adrian Beltre and all the Rangers need your vote to make it to this year's All-Star game. If you vote online up to 25 times and select the Rangers as your favorite or other favorite team, you'll receive a ticket offer good for 50% off select games in August and September. You visit TexasRangers.com/vote and cast your votes today. Vote early, vote often, vote Rangers. The conference concluded. 2 outs. Escobar, a ground ball to third, his first time up there. Tepish will continue to work from a stretch. Drops in a breaking ball for strike 1. First time up, Tepish able to jam Escobar. Escobar, like most players, pretty good average with the bases loaded. I'm tired of waiting, backs out. Tepish with the bases full of Twins. Trying to protect this 2-0 lead. He's got Mauer at third, Willingham at second, Arcia at first. The 0-1 pitch. 0-2.
Dropped a curveball in for strike 1. There's the second pitch by him as well. Looked like a changeup. He's swinging at it.
A nice crowd on hand at Globe Life Park tonight, and they are getting behind Nick Tepish. Right-hander is ready. The 0-2.
That hit the same part of the bat that first one hit him.
Yeah.
That he grounded out to third. Oh, he got lucky and fouled this ball off. A little bit out of the strike zone right there.
A little bit. A little bit. If he missed that, it might have hit him in the back shoulder. Now Tepish ready again. An 0-2 pitch on the way. Breaking ball, called strike 3. Turned Escobar into a statue. It took 26 pitches, but nothing across for the Twins. They have a base hit and leave him loaded after 3.5. 2-0 Rangers. is sponsored by Standard Insurance. Call Standard today. And by Freedom Dodge. Nobody beats a Freedom deal. Nobody. Teppe's able to wiggle off the hook in that top of the fourth inning. Now the Rangers coming to bat, see if they can't give him a little bit more to work with. It'll be Pena, Beltre, and Rios to face Kevin Correa. Carlos Pena, a strikeout the first time that he was up there tonight. 36-year-old veteran. Very familiar open stance as Correa comes to him with a breaking ball that stays high. 1 ball and no strikes. A home run that Carlos hit here a couple of nights ago. That thing was up in the air forever. Came straight down in some barbecued brisket down in the wedgie up there. That right there, right next to our camera position in the back row of that little wedge in the right field corner. The folks down there were serving themselves and they were very surprised. Didn't know whether to put that on a bun or just have it on the plate. And Pena pops it up. Left side of the infield. The only one over there is Escobar, the third baseman. He makes the catch, and that is out number 1.
Is this the brisket? There's the brisket ball.
There's the brisket ball right there.
Hey, speaking of brisket, did you have any of the brisket that Chef Evan Grant made?
No, I did not.
He's got a new barbecue pit at his home. And he made a giant batch of barbecue brisket that he brought in and shared with everybody in the press dining room. It was actually excellent. Homemade barbecue sauce. Chef Grant.
Chef Grant. Huh?
Yep. Very impressive.
Chef Evan.
Chef Evan.
Shea Evan. Here's the home run man. Adrian Beltre lined his 9th home run of the year into the Ranger bullpen. And that's the only offense of the game for either club. A 2-run blast, now 40 RBI for Beltre. Takes it low and outside. We'll take you back to that first inning blast. Should have known by that sound.
Yeah, it had a good sound.
Yeah, it did.
I have to admit, though, off the bat, I thought there was a better chance the right fielder was going to catch it than it was going to be a home run.
I did too. Take a look at our Ford leaderboard. RBI in June. And Lonnie Chisnall and J.D. Martinez, Kyle Seager with 21, and Adrian Beltre with 20.
Feels like all of those 21 from Seager came against the Rangers.
Yeah, I think you're right. Up the middle, Florimon behind the bag. Throws out Beltre. One, that's 2 gone now, and Alex Rios coming up.
Well, since Beltre's home run, Correa has settled down nicely. He gave up a single to Chu. That's it since that home run.
Alex Rios grounded to short on the first pitch he saw tonight. Well, Alex tailing off, or a little bit of a downturn, I should say, offensively. First pitch to him is off speed and over for strike 1. Alex 0 for 10 in the Detroit series. And just the second time this year that he's gone 3 consecutive games without getting a base hit. First time since way back in the early part of May against the Colorado Rockies. The 2-game series in Colorado and the 2-game series here. There you go. There's some of that good popcorn.
Take some pacifier out for that popcorn.
A rip and a miss. 1-2. You share some with the Penguin.
Yep, not going to let it get too far away, though, just in case.
Correa to the wide, the 1-2 pitch to Rios. Now 2-2. Alex in his career 105 games against the Twins and a .301 average. He also had 17 home runs. That's the second most home runs he's hit against any opponent. Check swing, it's inside, and the count has gone full. Now with 2 outs, Rios trying to get aboard here in the 4th. Leonis Martin waits to be next. Correa into the wind, and the payoff pitch is on the way. Call strike 3. Rios knew it. Correa got the outside corner. The Rangers are gone in order. We have finished 4 at Globe Life Park. The Rangers 2, the Twins nothing.
I'm here with a special group today. Look at all of these kids. You guys aren't kids anymore, all about to be adults. I am with a group from A&M. They're all here because of Fish Camp. Now, I'm a Longhorn, so I don't know a whole lot about Aggie Fish Camp. Maybe you can help the viewers who aren't familiar with it as well.
Yeah, it's the largest student-run freshman orientation program in the nation. It's run by students at Texas A&M. Him and I are both seniors this year, so it's just we bring all the freshmen, the incoming class, out to an off-campus site, and we teach them all the Aggie-isms, all the traditions. We teach them the yells so they can come back in the fall and have a group of friends and network to plug into and know what they're doing, what they're getting into.
All right, now what's really special about it this year is every year at Fish Camp, it's named after a distinguished alum. Can you tell me who that's in honor of this year?
Yeah, this year, our honored alum is Sandy Heidke, and a lot of you know John Heidke. It's his wife that recently passed away, and we've all been so fortunate to be part of this group and really done everything we can to honor her name and just make this a really great experience for everyone. So it's been great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the broadcast. And my Longhorn fans they're gonna hate me for this, but what have you guys learned at Fish Camp? Can I get a big? Send this one back to you guys.
All right, Jane, thank you. Tepish going to work here in the top of the 5th inning. Sam Fuld is the hitter. One ball, one strike the count. Fuld had the base hit in the 3rd. First Twin to reach base off of Nick Tepish tonight. Sam with the average up to 229 now. Tepish behind in the count, 2-1. Right-hander's next pitch is looped to right field. It's hanging up for Alex Rios, who gallops in to make the catch for out number 1. Fuld retired, now the shortstop Pedro Florimon.
Buzz, today is the 41st anniversary of David Clyde's first game. Came out of high school in Houston.
Yeah.
Number 1 pick in the whole draft and started in the big leagues for his first professional game. Some people may remember this. I was part of that game, but I didn't remember this. First inning, he walked the first 2 hitters of the game, Minnesota Twins, and then struck out the next 3. In the second inning, he walked 4. There were 2 caught stealings, and Mike Adams hit a 2-run homer. That would be the only hit he gave up and the only 2 runs. He would pitch 5 innings, walk 7, and strike out 8, and get the win in his first big league start.
18 years old, I believe.
18 years old.
Yeah.
What a game. That was the only sellout of the year first sellout ever for the Rangers. A lot of people felt that if David Clyde didn't start in the big leagues, that Bob Short might have gone bankrupt. That kind of kept the franchise afloat. Wasn't the best thing for David's career, that's for sure. Maybe starting one game in the big leagues and then going to the rookie league and developing like everybody else would have been okay. But not being a big leaguer, that just was not the right thing for David's career.
2-1 pitch is a bit low to Florimon, and now the number 9 hitter bidding to get aboard with one out here in the 5th, the top of the order, and Brian Dozier will be next.
The other amazing thing about that game was traffic was backed up. I-30 used to be the Dallas-Fort Worth Turnpike. Traffic was backed up. The game was a half an hour late starting. Poor David had to go down in the bullpen, wait, then warm up. While he was warming up in the bullpen, there were cameras on the field filming him warming up. Just something you would never see today. And somehow he withstood the pressure and hung in there and pitched a great game.
Yeah. Can't imagine any more pressure-packed situation than that. Holding the game up to make sure all the people are in.
Yeah.
Hey, Christmas.
You know, and for the players, for the veteran players on the team, it was exciting because you really didn't know. None of us had ever obviously seen a high school pitcher pitch in a big league game. There'd been some that had done it maybe way back when. I guess Joe Nuxall might have done it, but no one knew what to expect. The Twins had a lot of power. They had a good team, and here's a kid right out of high school going to get a start. So that was exciting to watch it.
And if that ball comes down, it's going to be a pretty easy 1-2-3 inning. For Nick Tepper. 3 up, 3 down. We have played half the ball game. And on the strength of Adrian Beltre's home run, the Rangers leading 2-0. '21 is sponsored by your Texas Ford dealer. Visit your Texas Ford dealer today. Ford is the best in Texas. And by Globe Life, the official life insurance company of the Texas Rangers. The Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Leonis Martin, Chris Jimenez, and Luis Sardinas to face Kevin Correa. A 2-0 Ranger lead. And, the first pitch is on the inside corner from Leonis Martin. Martin hit a sinking line drive to center field that Sam Fuld made a great sliding catch on. That was back in the 2nd inning. He gets jammed here and rolls one out to second base. Dozier on to Mauer. That is out number 1.
A good pitch by Correa. The cut fastball that he likes to throw, it's about an 89-mile-an-hour pitch. And when he gets it in there, it's very effective. Most hitters do not like being pitched in like that. And when you've got that little 2 or 3 inch movement on it, it just makes it even tougher.
You get idea of the pitch inning by inning breakdown. 20 in the first inning. Since then, it's been very economical for Kevin Correa. Rangers have not done much with him. First pitch to Chris Jimenez is off the outside corner for ball one. Jimenez, a ground ball to short, his first time up. Now hitting at .321. It's the first game that Jimenez has started on this homestand. His last start was a game that Yu Darvish pitched out in Anaheim. And speaking of Yu Darvish, he will be on the hill tomorrow night, and Chris Jimenez will be behind the plate. Time called momentarily. There's a rather large white plastic bag, grocery bag out there behind the mound. Kevin Correa going to weight himself down a little bit with it.
Yeah, the last thing the hitter wants to see is a white bag bouncing around to kind of catch your corner of your eye as you're trying to follow a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
Pitcher's got to wait until that is about ready to blow between him and the plate, and then throw the ball. See if he can wrap the ball up in it.
Well, that'd be one of those we were talking about the other day. When the ball gets caught in the glove, you have to throw your glove to first base. The ball go right in the bag. You catch the bag rolling towards you. You have to launch the whole thing over to first base.
3-0 pitch. And the strike is called. It's 3-1. Our pitch tracker showing you just barely catching the upper reaches of the strike zone. Correa back to the plate. That chopper foul. The count is now full. Well, Correa, the kind of stuff that on either side of the plate he can make the ball run off the corner. He has that sinker and tailing fastball that goes into right-handers, and he has that cut fastball that goes into left-handers. So he has an ideal combination of fastballs for that. Jimenez taking his time getting back in. Now he's ready. And so is Correa. Into the wind he goes. The payoff pitch. We'll have to reset and try it again. Andrews, Alex Rios, Robinson Chirinos on this end of the dugout. Nice vantage point, but they're not sticking their head out too much over that railing, just in case. Another 3-2. It is low, ball 4, and Jimenez draws the walk. That's the first pass issued by Correa tonight. He does not walk many. Jimenez able to coax one out of him here in the 5th inning, and that'll bring up Luis Sardinas.
That's only the 19th walk for Correa. Somewhere around 90 innings.
Sardinas tapped out. Took a great play by Correa, bouncing off the mound to have an unassisted put out at first base. A check of first. The pitch to Luis is high for ball 1. Sardinas checking with Gary Pettis down there at third. Seeing what Ron Washington might have in mind with Jimenez, who really runs pretty well at first base. On the outside corner, 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's that play the first time that Sardinas was up. Correa, only one there that could make the play, and he did. Mauer, as he was supposed to, went for the ball and then became a spectator.
Yeah, he was surprised as anybody when Correa dove and caught that ball. Getting ready to pick it up and flip it.
That's probably the toughest play that a first baseman and pitcher working in tandem have to make.
Who catches it, who goes
right
first. Correa wasn't sure how it was going to work out, so he just took matters into his own hands.
2-1 as Correa sets. Line to left field. That is slicing away from Willingham. A dive. He can't get it. It is by him and to the wall. Jimenez around third will score. The throw not in time. And on to third. No, now stopping is Sardinas. The Rangers lead it 3-0 as Luis Sardinas doubles into the corner.
Well, a great try by Willingham. He actually came pretty close to making a spectacular play. But once it gets by him, there's not much that he can do to retrieve the ball and stop Jimenez from scoring. He actually did a pretty good job, made it a relatively close play at the plate. Nice try, couldn't quite get it. Sardinas continues to make some pretty nice contact. He's not overmatched at the plate. He came into the game hitting .286. There's his third RBI and an extra base. And here comes Chris rounding third, trying to score on the play.
Rangers get a run here in the 5th inning. They're looking for more now. Sardinas at second. Rougned Odor at the plate. First pitch is inside to him for ball 1. Odor, a strikeout as he led off the 3rd against Correa. 279 now the average. The Rangers second baseman. 3 home runs, 17 driven in. Correa checks second. A little inside move, but Sardinas fairly wise to that move. Odor making his 34th start. All of them have come at second base. He's averaging about an RBI every other ball game. Check swing. The pitch is outside. It's 2-0. We've got the youngest player in the major leagues this year, the second youngest out there at second base. Luis Sardinas, until Odor arrived on the scene, was the youngest player in the big leagues this year. Chopper foul outside first, and the count moves to 2-1. The Rangers now 3 runs on 4 hits. Wins, no runs on just a couple of hits. It looks spectacular. Odor hitting .370. These runners in scoring position chances. And the pitch fouled away. 2-2 the count. Sardinas in scoring position. Infield a couple of steps around to the right for Odor. The outfielder plays him just a couple of steps the opposite way. Little looper down the third base side. Escobar in foul territory makes a nice running catch. Odor is out, and staying at second is Sardinas. There are now 2 gone, and it'll be up to Shin-Soo Choo if the Rangers are to do some more damage.
Good view of pretty easy play for Escobar going back on it in foul territory. It's another one of those cut fastballs that Correa got in on the fists of a left-hand hitter. The result was just that little blooper.
I would guess for a left-handed hitter, if you swing at it, you would hope it would go foul.
Yeah.
You're probably not going to hit it very hard.
Yeah, you hope you foul it straight back for sure. In fact, as a hitter, you remember doing that and fouling it straight back, and what you thought to yourself was, I'm glad I didn't hit that thing. Number 1, you would have been out. Number 2, it would have hurt your hands. And number 3, probably your teammates would have made fun of you back in the dugout. For some reason, other players love to make fun of a guy that really gets jammed.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why, but sometimes the hitter doesn't really want to hear it either. So they might wait for an inning or 2 for him to cool down.
Choo drives one to left, and that's hit well. Going back is Willingham at the wall. It's off his glove and in safely. Sardinas scores. Choo to second. He will hold there with an RBI double. The Rangers lead it 4-0.
Well, Choo definitely appears to like being back in the leadoff spot in the order. He's been up in all the odd number innings. He singled and scored. He singled, and now he's doubled and driven in a run. But the pitch out over the plate, right in the zone where he likes it, and launches it to left field. Gets it up in the air high. Looked like it carried pretty well. Willingham goes back against the wall. Looks like he has a chance to catch it. But it goes off his glove, off his arm as he bangs into the wall. Beltre's signaling everybody to keep on going. And Chu picks up an RBI double.
A pair of run-scoring doubles in the inning. And the Rangers now with a 4-run advantage. Here's Elvis, and he takes a strike.
As you look at the contact that Shin Su makes, no vibration in the bat. That's when you know it's hit on the sweet part of the bat. You hit it off the end, you hit it off the handle. With that great slow motion replay that we have, you see the bat vibrate, but not on that one.
Elvis 0 for 2 with a couple of groundouts. Takes off the plate inside, 1-1. The Rangers just one time in their 8-game losing streak, and they scored more than 3 runs, and that was the 6-run output they had the other night against Detroit. They have 4 on the board here tonight. That pitch almost got by Suzuki. 2-1 the count to Andrews. The Rangers getting to Kevin Correa tonight for 4 runs. And after Correa had given up just 2 earned runs total in his 3 previous games. 2-1 pitch. Check swing. Did he go? No, he did not. Field down to Milwaukee at first base. And the count moves to 3-1.
I think that's probably about as far as you can go without getting a call. Without the pitcher getting the call, I should say.
Correa checks Chu at second. And Elvis takes high, ball 4. Well, Correa has walked 2 in the inning. The first one to Chris Jimenez immediately set up a run. And now Elvis joins Shin-Soo Choo aboard, and there are 2 on and 2 out for Carlos Pena.
Rick Anderson's going to make a little call to the mound. No one warming up in the pen, at least not right now for Minnesota.
Correa doing something he normally does not do, and that's lose command of the strike zone, although the Rangers have made him work in this inning. Put the pressure on him to throw some strikes. All started with Chris Jimenez, and Jimenez ran the count full, a long at bat, able to get the walk. Sardinas drove the double right down the line, and then 1 out later, Shin-Soo Choo going with authority to left field. Had the RBI double, and 25 pitches under Kevin Correa's belt, but 13 balls and 12 strikes. That is not his strong suit. Normally he's 2.5 to 3 to 1 strikes to balls. Well, here's Pena. Carlos tonight has struck out and popped out. Chu at second, Andrews at first. First pitch, line to center field. In comes Full, still coming. And Sam Full able to make the catch about belt high. That'll do it, but the Rangers scored 2 times on 2 hits, and they leave 2. We're going to the 6th. It's now the Rangers 4 and the Twins nothing. 21 is sponsored by Freedom Chevrolet. Nobody beats a Freedom deal. Nobody. The twilight has descended here on Globe Life Ballpark. Great crowd on hand this Friday evening, and we are seeing some good Ranger baseball. The Texas club leading the Twins by a 4-0 count. They have out-hit the Twins 5-2 tonight. Nick Tepesch will take the hill for inning number 6. Tepesch just allowing the 2 base hits so far, and he has not walked it. He has walked 1 and hit a bat along with the 2 hits, but no damage in the run column. Kurt Suzuki, Joe Mauer, and Josh Willingham, the first 3 to face the 25-year-old from Missouri. A breaking ball slices the outside corner in 2. It is strike 1. Suzuki, a fly ball to center and a ground ball to short tonight. Rangers play Suzuki just about straight away at every position. Fastball runs off the plate inside. It's 1-1.
The last 4 or 5 years, Suzuki has really hit well in this ballpark. He's hit close to .320 in this park over the last 4 or 5 years. Rangers playing in the outfield, shift him around toward right field, not to pull the ball in the outfield. And that's why.
Line to right. It's hanging up though, and Alex Rios there. Very well positioned. That is out number 1. Joe Mauer coming up, and before he gets to the batter's box, let's say hello again to Jane Slater. Jane.
Hello. Well, I'm putting these gentlemen to work for us here for the ball club. You know, All-Star voting is winding down, and Adrian Beltre and the rest of the Rangers, well, they need your help. So you can go on your smartphone, your desktop, your tablet, you name it, and you can vote for the Texas Rangers. And here's an added incentive. If you vote up to 25 times and select the Rangers as your favorite team or other favorite, you're going to get a ticket offer up to 50% off select games in August and September. It's easy. Look, these guys are doing it here for us during the game. Visit TexasRangers.com/vote. Guys, back to you.
All right, Jane, thank you. A lot of folks voting now. Joe Mauer 1 for 2 tonight. 1-0 pitch to him is down and away. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Mauer a single in the 4th inning, a ground ball to second back in the 1st. 272 the average.
It's a lot easier to vote now than it was when the ballots first came out. You can vote on your computer now. I can remember at the old ballpark when balloting first started, people made a wooden base that was the size of the All-Star ballot and then positioned nails exactly where the Ranger player would be. So all you had to do is take your ballot, put it on top of the nails, push down on it, and it would punch out all the Ranger players. They tried to make it as easy as possible, but it was still a lot harder than going to a computer to do it.
Three-one pitch, and that's all the way to the backstop. So Mauer draws the 1-out walk. He is aboard for the 2nd time tonight. It'll bring up Josh Willingham. Second walk that Nick Tepesch has allowed this evening. And Willingham stepping to the plate 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch last time up there. You see the 4th inning for Tepesch tonight was a bit of a trouble spot. He had a single, a hit batter, and a walk in that frame. He was able to skirt around any run damage. Other than that, he's been very, very efficient. Mike Maddox, another visit out to the young right-hander to have a chat with him. Give him a little time to kind of settle back in mentally to what he was going to do with Willingham, who's going to cover second base, and ground ball back to him, who you're going to throw it to. All those things to kind of get the mind back in the focus of making a good pitch. Aaron Pareda, the left-hander, starting to loosen in the Ranger bullpen. Well, here's Willingham, 245 hitter. Tepesch a high set. Comes to the plate with strike 1. Willingham now 0 for his last 6. He only had one hit in the just completed series out in Anaheim. Oh, 1. It's just off the plate inside. A ball and a strike. Twins at 5 games under 500. They are in 4th place in the American League Central, trailing Detroit by 8 full games entering play tonight. Now 2-1.
Well, the first 3 innings, Nick had thrown a lot of strikes percentage-wise. I think when you mentioned that, Buzz, it was something like 24 strikes and 8 balls, something like that. Percentage has gone down a little bit, but still okay with 81 pitches. Could really use a ground ball double play to get out of the 6th and hopefully get him into the 7th inning and able to pitch deeper into this ball game.
High in the air, that will twist back into the seats. Carlos Pena over just to take a look, but it's 8 or 9 rows back.
Very happy with no runs through 5 innings and 2 hits. And the next step is to take that past the 6th inning and get into and through the 7th inning.
Right.
And then you really feel good about your start.
Yeah, that's when you start going out there every 5th day feeling like you have a real good idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Start being the consistent pitcher that you want to be and the team wants you to be.
But you don't want to walk people with a 4-0 lead.
Now Willingham has the count full. Mauer walked. He's at first base. Willingham to be followed by Kendrys Morales. Depish reading the signs. Right-hander is ready. A check of Mauer. Payoff pitch. Got him swinging. And he went up with that cut fastball, and Willingham couldn't climb the ladder high enough.
Well, big strikeout right there for Nick. Run the count full and then just kind of throw a high fastball right by him. Good fastball. 2nd out. Morales right here and get out of the inning and take that shutout through 6 innings instead of 5. Morales, though, pretty good test. He's hit the ball hard twice tonight.
A strikeout for Tepish, his 4th of the evening. Morales, as Tom told you, has been right on the ball both times up. A hard 1-hopper to second and a line drive to center. He rolls over on this one. Pena near the bag will step on first. And on 1 pitch, Nick Tepish turns the entire inning around. Nice job, Tepish. No runs, no hits. The Walker left stranded after 5.5. Rangers 4-0. Brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $200 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Jose Lopez from Dallas. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Jose Lopez from Dallas will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Adrian Beltre, who has already slammed one out of the yard tonight, a 2-run blast in the first. Starting things off here in the Rangers' 6th inning. 4-0 Texas. Kevin Correa back to the hill. He has allowed all 4 runs on 5 hits. First pitch, that is hit high and deep to right field. But this one playable for Arce. In front of the warning track, he makes the grab for out number 1. Looked promising coming off the bat, but probably didn't get it on the good part of the lumber.
He might have hit that a little bit toward the end of the bat. Hit it higher than his home run ball. Let's see. Yeah, he hit that toward the end of the bat. Didn't really hit the sweet spot.
Oh, 1 gone now. Alex Rios 0 for 2 will step to the plate. Rios a ground out and a strikeout against Correa. 1 ball, no strikes. Alex now starting to rack up a pretty long 0 for. He's at 0 for 12. Takes the pitch inside. It's 2-0. Came into the game at 309, which was 8th in the American League. Is down a couple to 307. Topper right back to the mound. Correa lobs it to first. Rios is retired. There are 2 gone for Leonis Martin.
Center fielder, Leonis Martin.
When you see a guy like Rios top a ball like that back to the mound, it's a pretty good indication he's just not swinging the bat very well.
Yeah, it's funny how that can happen, but you know, there's a lot of amateur golfers out there that kind of know a similar feeling. You go out one day and feel like, boy, I hit the ball great today. I think I've got this figured out. You go back the next day and you're right back where you started from. And you see professional golfers win a tournament, miss a cut, and you see hitters go 35 for 100 and then go 0 for 15. It's just part of the process. Some days you feel it, some days you don't. And I guess what a hitter tries to do, he tries to minimize the bad streaks and make the long ones go as long as you possibly can.
Oh, 1 pitch, and Leonis Martin all tied up with that cut fastball, fouls it off. It's 0-2.
You hear athletes in all sports talking about sometimes the ball looks bigger and everything seems slower. And if it's slower, it feels easier. Other days, everything feels fast. You don't pick the ball up. It looks like a golf ball instead of a baseball. You're not seeing it. You don't feel good. Your hands are sore. You go up to the plate hoping to get a base hit instead of having that feeling like, man, if he throws me a good pitch, I know I'm going to hit this. Some days you have that feeling, and I don't care whether you're seeing a sports psychologist and how positive you're trying to be. There's other days where that feeling just isn't there. And I'm sure you had games, Buzz, where you got the ball and you just knew you were going to throw the ball where you wanted to. In other games, you're going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
What am I going to throw right here?
I didn't really want to throw it at all. Pitch outside to Leonis, and the count moves to 1-2.
When you had that feeling, what did you try to do? What was there one thing that worked? Did you go to your off-speed pitches or anything like that?
No, when I started feeling like that, Tom, I had either the fastball or the slider, and I felt like I could throw them wherever I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I could take a little bit off or put a little bit on. Pretty much you could do whatever you felt like doing, and whatever the situation felt like.
What would you go to on the days where nothing was working? Just keep mixing and matching, hoping it came?
Over some Advil, I think. I guess I would fall back into going for my slider.
Yeah.
The idea that if I made a bad pitch, it probably wouldn't be as bad as when I made a bad pitch with a fastball. Typically didn't go as far. Hitters that hit it, but it only go 390 instead of 440.
Maybe Amos Otis would jump up against the wall and make a catch for you.
Yeah. He'd come in with his tongue hanging down from running so much.
Well, you had some guys that could run him down out there with Willie Wilson and Amos Otis. And who else? Al Collins?
Al Collins was out there, those were the 3 main guys.
Yeah, he had some good outfielders, boy.
They could all fly. And of course, where that Kansas City park was with the turf, and it was a big ball.
Yeah, you had to have fast guys out there, boy. That ball could get to the wall in a hurry. You guys had a perfect team for that ballpark, too.
Yeah.
Defensively, running the bases. You had offensive players who hit the ball in the gaps. They had big John Mayberry batting in the middle and hitting the home runs for you.
That's right.
There's some great teams, boy.
2-2, the count to Leonis Martin. Leonis 0 for 2 tonight.
The 4 frontline starters and Dan Quisenberry in the bullpen.
There you go. Popped up on the third base side. Over to take a look. Suzuki, but that's back into the seats. Still 2-2.
And a great manager too, Whitey Herzog.
Yeah, no, he was really good. Whitey was. I don't think you could imagine a manager from a player standpoint any better to play for than Whitey.
Yeah, for sure.
Correa with a new baseball, back up on top of the hill. Suzuki with the signs. Martin waiting. And another 2-2 pitch is coming. Another foul ball. Leonis stretching out this at bat pretty well. This will be the 9th pitch coming up from Correa. Our pitch tracker and the spread of those pitches were inside all the way to a foot outside. And from top to bottom near the strike zone. And another foul ball. Martin making it tough on Correa. Bases empty, 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Leonis back in, taps the inside corner of the plate with the business into the bat. Another 2-2 pitch. And another foul ball. Well, the 11th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Correa with that good sinker of his, usually living right down there at the bottom of that strike zone. He will try it again from the line he deals. And a base hit to right field. Finally left one up and Leonis can handle it. And he did it with authority. A 2-out single. It'll bring up Chris Jimenez.
He fouled off some tough pitches and then got a curveball that stayed up for him and waited on it just long enough to hit it well into right field toward the line.
Well, the Rangers now with half a dozen hits. Chris Jimenez stepping to the plate. Brian Dunsing, the left-hander, loosening in the Twins bullpen. Jimenez walked and scored in the 5th inning. He is 0 for 1 officially. Martin stepping a lead off at first, and Correa, not the easiest guy to run on. He saw how quickly he gets rid of the ball to home plate. Slide step. Benji Molina, the Ranger first base coach, talking to Leonis over there. And Jimenez pops it up. Second baseman Brian Dozier coming in front of the bag at second. And that'll do it. So the 2-out single by Martin to no avail. The Rangers strand their 3rd runner of the game. We're going to the 7th. Rangers 4, Twins nothing on TXA 21. Baseball on TXA 21 is sponsored by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda now at your Honda dealer. And by Frost. Visit frostbank.com. Nick Tepish will take it back out there for the 7th inning here tonight. Nick will deal with the bottom of the order, the number 6 man to start things off. Oswaldo Arcia, and then Escobar and Full for the Twins. Has allowed just the 2 base hits. He has walked a couple, and he has 4 strikeouts tonight. 6 shutout innings, and like Tom was saying, the good opportunity for Nick Tepish to extend that at least by 1. Really add some more stripes to his sleeve. Arcia has struck out and walked tonight. Hitting at 2-0-2. Tepish first pitch comes back to the outside corner for strike 1. Nick winds, and the next pitch on the inside corner. 0-2. That is spotting up your pitches pretty well. Outside corner, inside corner, and how about good night with Uncle Charlie? Tried to, but
almost
didn't quite get it down enough.
Nick's had a couple of starts this year where he pitched 6 1/3. His longest outing is 6 2/3. So he's trying to get through this 7th inning and have his longest outing of the year, which would be 7 innings.
Another 0-2 pitch. Got him swinging. There it was. Down, and that is strikeout number 5 for Nick Tepish. 1 away. Eduardo Escobar will be next.
Sharp breaking curveball, looked like a strike, ended up being in the dirt. Since Mauer had a single in the 4th inning, they've had a couple of base runners, but no base hits since then. And Correa continues to throw. Jason Frazier getting loosened up.
Cranking up the generator out there.
He's getting everything warmed up in case he has to start throwing.
Strike 1 to Eduardo Escobar. A strikeout and a ground out tonight. Escobar, a .282 average. He takes the pitch up and in. 1-1. And Rangers captain again trying to pass out some heart attacks.
What's he
that
doing?
Big old spider out there.
Tossing a spider away.
Yeah.
Now that's cruel. Do that to the wrong person.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd want to do that to Glenn Allen Hill. Glenn Allen Hill used to be a major league player that was deathly afraid of spiders.
Slowly chopped down to first. Pena will take it to the bag himself. He wins that race. And that is out number 2. Well, the last time that Escobar was at the plate, our TXU Energy replay of the game. We'll take you back there. Bases full. See you later. Boy, a hook right on the outside corner.
Perfect pitch.
Talk about locking a guy up. Threw away the keys to Nick Tepish. TXU Energy, inspired by you. No, 2 gone here in the 7th inning, and Sam Fuld now will step in. The number 8 hitter is 1 for 2 tonight. Fuld, a 3rd inning single. Last time up, a fly ball to right. He takes strike 1. .227 the season average for Fuld. Good pitch from Tepish. Boy, he is spot on this inning.
Since he walked Joe Mauer with 1 out in the 6th, he's retired 4 straight, a couple of strikeouts, and jumping right out here at no balls and 2 strikes. Good pitch.
And another little chopper to first that Pena will take to the bag, and that'll do it. A strikeout and 2 little rollers to first 3 up, 3 down. Stretch time at the ballpark, 4-0. Rangers. And now please join Chuck Morgan as he announces God Bless America.
Please rise as we remember the servicemen and women who are serving our country at home and around the world. Tonight we invite everyone in Globe Life Park to join in singing God Bless America.
And Target are celebrating teachers in your community. Vote for the teacher who will represent your team at the 2014 All-Star Game on July 15th on Fox. Go to allstarteachers.com and cast your vote. Now we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and a new pitcher on hand now for the Twins. That's left-hander Brian Dunsing.
Well, the Twins have a pretty good bullpen, and Dunsing is one of the guys out in that bullpen that's doing an excellent job at 2.73 ERA. Been around as not only a bullpen guy, but a fairly effective starter. Remember him a number of years ago, pitching some pretty nice games against the Rangers. Pretty good idea what he's doing on the mound, how to pitch, good changeup, sneaky fastball.
Luis Sardinas, the switch hitter, turns around to bat from the right side against the lefty Dunsing. Taking over for Kevin Correa, who went the first 6, got all 4 runs on 6 hits. The breaking ball is just a bit low. Sardinas, an RBI double in 2 trips tonight. He also scored a run. Dunsing's 2-1 pitch. That evens the count. Brian Dunsing, 31-year-old out of Marysville, Kansas. Lives in the Omaha area now. Twins' 3rd round selection in the 2005 draft. out of the University of Nebraska. 2-2 pitch. We'll try it again. $38,111 on hand here tonight. Great Friday night crowd in the first game of this 3-game weekend series with the Twins. Very comfortable early summer's evening here in North Texas. A looper foul down the first base side. Well, 82 degrees right now, and it was 88 at first pitch. I can't remember a June 27th in this part of the world when it was like this.
No, it seemed like last year the temperatures got into the hundreds. It seemed like it was in May. Might have been not quite that early, but this has definitely been a nice, cool summer so far.
Got him swinging. And Dutsey going upstairs with a fastball, and he gets the first strikeout of the first man he faces.
He goes with a high fastball. Gets Luis to chase one. You also don't see many weeks late in June we had this kind of rainfall either.
Yeah.
That was very welcome to the area. A lot of people had too much of it. For those people, we're very sorry for the flooding that happened in some areas. But overall, the rain was really needed.
Rougned Odor 0 for 2 tonight. Lefty against lefty, and Odor takes strike one. Rougned had a strikeout in the third and a foul pop in the fifth inning. Batting at .277. Dunsing back to it. Knee-high fastball. It's 0-2. Hey, you're talking about Dunsing starting, Tom. You don't have to go back very far. In 2011, he had 28 starts that year. And last year converted to the bullpen full-time. That's 73 appearances for Minnesota with 6-2.
Valuable guy. One of those guys you can use in a number of ways. Settled in nicely as a reliever.
Couldn't get Rougned to go up the ladder at all. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Popped that fastball at 94 miles an hour. I remember him throwing quite that hard.
Could be one of those guys that goes to the bullpen and just airs it out when he, instead of trying to save something as he did as a starter.
A little more in the tank.
Got Odor on the fist, and a comebacker that Dunsing takes care of. That is out number 2. Now back to the top of the order with Shin-Soo Choo.
Got this one in on the fist. Not hit too hard. A lot of times, though, the pitcher is so close to the mound that he doesn't pick up how hard the ball is hit. You know, almost like a changeup comes at him, and he has trouble fielding that little ground ball. Did you ever have that happen to you?
I swiped it I think twice and still missed it. The thing hit me in the chest. That's embarrassing.
Well, it's embarrassing, and it looks so simple to the fans watching the game. But when you're out there ending up, 50 feet away from the hitter, you're not sitting there thinking about, well, let me see how hard this one's hit. Not very hard. I think I'll just make an easy play. Your first reaction is to take a stab at it, make the play, and make sure you don't get hit by a line drive.
Yeah, first thing comes to your mind is I don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
I'm going to swat that thing away. And you got this real speed from behind Dunsing. That, you know, it's a little bit different when the ball's down. When it's on the ground, you can kind of gauge it a little bit, especially when it bounces. Ron Gardner, though, will tell you that he's probably seen some guys in his time that have looked pretty foolish trying to get a humpback liner back to the mound. Kurt Suzuki getting a little respite. Joe Mauer, the ex-catcher, in consideration, went to the mound and gave Kurt Suzuki a little time to recover from that foul tip. Shin-Soo Choo back in. He is 3 for 3 tonight. Pair of singles and a double and RBI. He waited nicely on that Dunsing breaking ball, but fouled it off.
That's one of those balls. If that ball curved a little bit better and was more out over the plate and down, he was right on it. Just was in an area out of the strike zone that was tough for him to make solid contact on.
Dunsing set the 0-2 pitch. Out towards short. Florimon on across the diamond, and that'll do it. So Dunsing has a 1-2-3 inning. Rangers gone in the 7th. We'll move to inning number 8. It's the Rangers 4 and the Twins nothing. Honda of Paris. Great crowd on hand this Friday evening. A comfortable night. Rangers ahead by 4, so that's relatively comfortable, unless, of course, you happen to be on the Twins bench. It's not very comfortable for you there. Twins trying to do some damage against Nick Tepesch. And Tepesch has been up to the challenge tonight. Just 2 hits and 2 walks in 7 shutout innings.
I love the fact that he's going back out there for the 8th inning. He's got 97 pitches. I think the safe thing would be, all right, you've done your job. Let's let the bullpen take over. But, you know, the Rangers talk about development, and this is a chance to do a little developing right here. Find out how Nick can handle pitching in the 8th inning. He hasn't been there this year.
Now, Pedro Florimon, the schedule here, is called back. This is Jorge Polanco, infielder that is pinch hitting for Florimon. Florimon mired in a 7 for 75 streak now after an 0 for 2 tonight. And Polanco pinch hitting for him to start off the 8th inning. Pitch is outside. It's 2-1 now.
You have to be struggling to have a kid from A-ball, 20 years old, pinch hit for you in a ball game. But he's a pretty good prospect, too. It's not like he's any 20-year-old. Rangers have a couple of 20, 21-year-olds. Here's another one.
And Tepesch deals a strike. And the count is 2-2. Polanco getting back in the box. Tepesch to the wind. The pitch to the plate. Couldn't get it to offer that breaking ball. That runs the count full now. Well, Polanco is a pinch hitter trying to get aboard to start off this 8th inning, the top of the order, and Brian Dozier is next. Polanco made his major league debut as a pinch runner last night, or yesterday afternoon, I guess it would have been. Chops this one out to second. Odor on to first. Polanco scooting down that line in a hurry, but he is out by a step and a half.
Good job by Nick, getting that 3-2 pitch over, getting it out right at 103 pitches. 1 out here into the 8th inning. Love to see him finish this 8th inning and walk out of here with a shutout after 8 innings, even if he did have to turn the shutout over to the bullpen for the 9th inning. A real step in the right direction for Nick to pitch this deep into a ball game.
Saw Neil Kotz out there, the left-hander, and he looked down the lineup, and Joe Mauer, who is in the hole right now as far as the hitters are concerned. Third up would be the first left-hander that probably have Kotz getting ready to face. Brian Dozier takes strike one from Nick Tepesch. Dozier 0 for 3 tonight. A ground out, a fly out, and a strikeout. Breaking ball hangs inside to him. And the count evens, and a ball and a strike. Tepesch back to the plate, and a looping drive to left is going to settle in for a base hit. Chu over to play the ball into the infield, and Dozier aboard. A one-out single, and now Kurt Suzuki coming up, and Ron Washington making his way out to the mound. So it looks like it's going to be the end of the night for Nick Tepesch, and had he had a 1-2-3 inning, probably would have been given the chance to go ahead and complete it. But Ron Washington said, hey, that's enough. 7 1/3. That's the most you've ever gone at the big league level. You have done your job here tonight. And a nice standing ovation for Nick Tepesch. A crowd of better than 38,000 really appreciating the 25-year-old right-hander. Nice touch to send Nick back into the dugout. And a pitch and change underway. Rangers on top 4-0. We're back after this on TXA 21. Four 4-0 lead, 1 out, 1 on here in the top of the 8th inning, and Jason Frazier has come in to take care of the deal for Nick Tepesch. Tepesch with high fives as he went off the field into the Ranger dugout. Great job by the 25-year-old right-hander, and he leaves with a man on his responsibility after 7 1/3, and Jason Frazier, the veteran, takes over.
Yep, and great numbers for Jason. Good strikeout to walk ratio. Nice ERA, great opponent's batting average. Another solid season for Jason. Doing what he does best, set up relief.
Well, thanks to Scott Baker's effort last night, the Ranger bullpen pretty well rested.
Yeah, they needed that last night.
Boy, 6 2/3 by Scott Baker last night in relief. Had it not been for that, the Ranger bullpen might have been depleted today. Guys going an inning or 2 innings here and there. But everybody except Baker rested very nicely. Frazier on for the first time in the last couple of days. He will face Kurt Suzuki with Dozier at first and 1 out. Suzuki 0 for 3 tonight. First pitch to him is a good breaking ball on the outside corner.
Well, we were talking about this before the game, Buzz. Scott Baker might not have the best numbers if you just look at his line and his earned run average. He's given up some home runs. But as far as valuable pitchers go for the Rangers, he's right up there near the top. They've had to have his performance, his ability to pitch 5 or 6 innings in relief.
He had 4 outings. Those are the numbers from last night, 6 2/3 with 6 hits and 2 runs. Had 4 outings of 5 or more relief innings this year.
Yeah. And without that, think of the extra appearances for guys that have been pretty much used a lot anyway. He's been a lifesaver out there. You have to have a long man, but not many teams have that kind of a long man. Starting pitcher basically out there who's getting starting pitching work out of the bullpen.
1 ball, 1 strike to Suzuki. Foul tip. It's 1-2.
But other than Yu Darvish, the Rangers starters just have not been pitching deep into ball games. Tonight was a nice night for Nick Tepesch, pitching 7 1/3. That was a welcomed outing for him tonight. Hopefully a sign of things to come. Excellent outing for Nick.
Tepesch in line to even his record up at 3-3 if Ranger and the rest of the pen can hold this 4-0 lead. Jason worked that 1 inning night before last against the Tigers. It was very uneventful. Just 10 pitches needed to dispatch the Tiger order. Right-hander set. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Pop foul. That will reach the seats. And the count remains 1-2. That might be an indication of the reaction he got from Kurt Suzuki. He smacked his bat in disgust.
Yeah, he got his fastball right down the middle of the plate right there. Jason said, here it is. See if he can hit it. And Suzuki's been hitting it a lot this year. He came into the game 9th in the league with a .308 batting average. Gone down a little bit tonight. He was 0 for 3.
Seemed like for a number of years Suzuki was always driving in big runs against the Rangers when he was with Oakland. Gets fisted here. Ground ball to third. Cardenas wisely decides not to try for the force at second. Gets Suzuki at first for out number 2. Dozier into scoring position, but a very good choice by Luis Sardinas.
Yeah, maybe go to second in a tie game late in the game. You don't want to put a man in scoring position, but with a 4-run lead, you want to make sure you get 1 out. Don't take a risk. He got that ball way in on his fist. Wasn't hit hard enough to feel comfortable throwing it to second. Hit the sure out.
So Frazier gets Suzuki, and that's going to be apparently the only hitter he's going to be asked to face. Ron Washington out to the mound, and he is signaling wants Neil Kotz to come in. Frazier kind of a wry smile at the skipper. But Kotz will be asked now to come on and face Joe Mauer with 1 on and 2 outs here in the 8th inning. Rangers still leading 4-0, and Kotz will come in to try and keep it that way. We're back after this. Ron Washington has been in position to go out late in the ball game, and with the game in the Rangers' favor. And he's doing that now. Frazier came on to get Kurt Suzuki. And Neil Kotz now has to come on to face Joe Mauer, a left-handed hitter.
Well, throughout his career, Mauer has been a guy that really didn't care who was pitching, a right-hander or a left-hander. I don't think he can win a batting championship if he can't hit left-handed pitching. He's just a good hitter, uses the whole field. And Neil's job is to try to get into the 9th inning, preserve that 4-run lead, and man at second base, trying to keep him from scoring.
Joe Mauer, in his career against Neil Kotz, is 2 for 8. One of those 2 is a home run. He's got Dozier at second. The good news is he can't tie the game with a home run or put the Twins ahead with any kind of a hit. 4-0 Rangers. Kotz checks second, and the first pitch to Mauer is right down through there for strike 1. Neil gave up a run on 3 hits in 2 innings of work against the Tigers night before last. The batting average with runners in scoring position. Mauer always great in that capacity. Hard breaking ball away to him. The count evens now at 1-1. I think Mauer's you talked about, Tom, about Mauer not carrying him right-handed or left-handed. His ability, I think, to stay in and hit the ball the other way with authority is probably what makes him so dangerous against left-handed pitching, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You can see the way he chokes up slightly on the bat. I think the guys that choke up, it gives you a little bit better bat control. Not many guys do choke up. Barry Bonds used to choke up.
Yep.
Ted Williams said he used to choke up. And that was the reason why. He felt like it allowed him to check his swing, wait a little bit longer. There's a look at a batting champion choking up on the bat just slightly.
1-2 pitch. Just missed the inside. But Kotz trying to get that cut fastball to work its way back to the corner and did not miss by much. Dozier the lead from second. Kotz reading the signs. The left-hander's ready. The 2-2 offering. Call strike 3. Mauer leaned on it, and the home plate umpire rang him up. And James Hoy said that's enough, and Kotz gets the punch out. The Twins held off the run column in the 8th. They strand a runner going to the bottom of the 8th inning. Rangers 4, Twins nothing on TXA 21. continue their replica jersey giveaway. First 15,000 fans 14 and older will receive a Prince Fielder replica jersey, courtesy of Snapple and Brookshires. Visit TexasRangers.com to get your tickets for July 8th. Come on out to the ballpark and have a great time. Matt Guerrero, the right-hander, on now to take over in the bottom of the 8th inning. Elvis Andrus takes outside for ball 1. The numbers for Guerrero. Veteran right-hander. Misses low. It's 2-0. Or if Polanco stays in the ball game, takes over at shortstop. He came on as a pinch hitter for Pedro Flormon. And Elvis chops the pitch foul. It's 2-1. Elvis tonight has walked 0 for 2 officially as he's grounded out twice. The batting average now slipping just a little bit tonight at 266. 3 balls and a strike. Well, Elvis trying to get aboard to begin the Ranger 8th inning. He'll be followed by the first baseman, Carlos Pena. Guerrero to the plate. 3-2. Matt Guerrero, who split last year between the Dodgers and the Cubs, originally came up with the Twins back in 2004. Payoff pitch to Elvis, up the middle, into center field, a base hit. Guerrero vacated the middle of the mound. It's a good thing he did.
That's not one of those changeups we were talking about.
So Elvis, a leadoff single, is aboard.
A well-struck line drive by Elvis. Got the high sinker that time. Guerrero's game is trying to keep the sinker down and getting ground balls. He got that one up to throw a strike, and Elvis laced it back through the middle.
A 1 on, nobody out. Matt Guerrero now facing Carlos Pena. Pena 0 for 3 this evening. He's popped out, flied out, struck out. Elvis leaning towards second. Guerrero just making a little soft toss over there. Elvis had to dive back, and the Ranger closer, Joaquin Soria, getting ready in the bullpen. Pena 1 for 2 in his career against Guerrero. It's a little harder throw, and Elvis read it better.
Slight vibration, which would tell you that he hit it just a little bit off the sweet spot toward the end of the bat.
That wouldn't be enough to hurt your hands, would it?
No, probably wouldn't even notice that.
Especially since you got a base hit.
Yeah, you don't care. I don't care what my hands feel like.
Base hit by Pena. Boy, he ripped that right through the ship. Elvis to second. He's going to make the turn and head to third. The throw comes into second. And Arcia kind of got set up by Elvis. Elvis did a little hesitation around second and motored to third. And Arcia made the throw into second.
You got to hit this ball hard to get it through the shift. And Carlos hit that ball directly in the middle of the 2 middle infielders. He did hit it hard. Watch, here's what you're talking about, Buzz. Elvis goes around second and pauses just briefly enough that might have influenced Arcia's throw to come into second base instead of going toward third.
No runners at the corners, nobody out. Here's Adrian Beltre, and the first pitch to him is off the plate inside. Beltre 1 for 3 tonight. Big 2-run home run got the Rangers going in the first inning. Infield for the Twins, all the way in on the right side. Just in front of halfway on the left side. The pitch way outside from Guerrero. Look at how Ron Gardenhire's defensive alignment against Beltre is set up. Beltre 5 out of 11 in his career against Guerrero. Tried to check his swing and couldn't do it. And James Hoy, the home plate umpire, rang him up. Beltre is standing there pointing down to first.
He said, I already called it a strike. I don't need any help. And I probably got a little smile out of the home plate umpire, James Hoy, and Bill Welke as well at first base. You know, I've seen other hitters start to do that too, point to first base. And Beltre's the one that did it first, for sure.
Oh, he just got under that. A towering drive to left center. Andrews tagging at third. The catch is made by Fulm. The throw will come into second. Elvis trotting down the line, steps on home plate. And Adrian Beltre drives in the 5th run of the night. The Rangers lead 5-0.
You know, as a hitter, you're disappointed that you've had a good pitch, a perfect swing, but you've gotten underneath it, popped it up. But the sting is taken out of it a little bit when it's less than 2 outs and you've got a man on third base. So the at-bat doesn't count, and you pick up an RBI. And he hit that ball right how he wanted to. He just got underneath it a little bit. So I guess he didn't hit it right how he wanted to. He just hit it on the good part of the bat, but not in the middle of the bat.
Now Alex Rios takes the strike. So Beltre with 3 RBI tonight. A 2-run home run and the sacrifice fly. Rangers now 5 runs on 8 hits this evening. Alex Rios 0 for 3. A couple of ground outs and a strikeout. Check swing and pitch veers off the outside corner. 1-1. Guerrero, the 35-year-old veteran right-hander. Ball's behind now, 2-1 the count. Rios waiting. Carlos Pena, a modest lead at first as Guerrero sets. Check swing roller foul, and the count is now 2-2. And Guerrero moving up the all-time list. Well, the Twins of games appeared in. This is his 18th appearance this year. Back to the plate. And the pitch hit in the air to shallow right center. Arcia coming on, makes the grab, and that is out number 2. Leonis Martin now will be up.
Center fielder, Leonis.
Elvis reading Adrian Beltre after the sacrifice fly, and Adrian getting instructions from Elvis. That may be how you do it, but here's how I do it. I'm not sure I've ever seen a couple of guys have as much fun playing such great baseball.
And maybe that's why they play such great baseball.
Probably.
They enjoy it so much.
Probably. Leonis Martin is 1 for 4 tonight. Make that 1 for 3. Excuse me. Singled his last time up. Got Pena at first, 2 outs. Ranger 8th inning with Texas on top, 5-0. 0-2 now the count. I see him with Guerrero. He is now over 400 appearances in a Twins uniform. He is at 412 as of tonight. There's a lot of going out there.
Sure is.
0-2 pitch. Foul down. All-time leader, of course, former Ranger Eddie Guardado. 648 outings for Minnesota.
That's why they called him Everyday Eddie.
Everyday Eddie. Jim Cott on that list too. Yet he was, I think he was in the bullpen about every other time between starts. That man could throw every day for an hour and a half if you wanted him to.
You know what else he did?
What was that?
He has shot even par, left-handed and right-handed.
You know, I heard
now,
that.
That's something.
Yeah, sure is.
He can pitch 1,000 games, but not many guys can shoot par left-handed and right-handed.
He's an amazing athlete.
He is. Looks like he's Other than if you saw his face, which you would expect to look a little older, his body looks like he's about 40.
Yep. High and tight. 13 spinning out of the way. The count moves to 1-2. Leonis at 272 in the average. Carlos Pena, a modest lead at first as Guerrero sets. And call strike 3. Well, Leonis got caught looking. That fastball came back to the inside corner. The Rangers are gone, but they score a run on a couple of hits and strand one. We're going to the ninth. Joaquin Soria making his way in from the Ranger bullpen. 5-0 Texas. The only time we've seen him in the last 9 days was a couple of days ago against Detroit. He had to get an inning of work because it had been so long. He is back in for his 28th appearance of the year.
Well, he's had an excellent season. 15 out of 16 in save opportunities. This is not a save opportunity. Pitching with a lead, excellent ERA, tremendous strikeout to walk ratio, 35-3, and has not given up a home run.
Osorio will face Josh Willingham to start things off. Willingham will be followed by Kendrys Morales and Oswaldo Arcia. The pitch to Willingham is on the outside corner for strike one. Willingham tonight 0 for 2 with a hit by pitch. He struck out and grounded out other than being plunked. Fastball is high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Soria trying to close out what would be the Rangers' 14th shutout of the year. The 13 that they have right now, the tops in the American League. They are second in all of baseball to St. Louis. St. Louis with 15 shutouts. Willingham 1 for 5 against Joaquin Soria in his career. Slow breaking ball. Took enough off that had Willingham not only fooled by the break but by the lack of speed. Couldn't have walked up and put her in any better spot than that. No. He came back with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and almost got it by Willingham. Still 2-2. Rangers 5 runs on 8 hits, no errors. The Twins no runs on 3 hits. They also have played errorless ball. Soria, the 4th pitcher used tonight. Nick Tepesch worked the first 7 1/3. Slow breaking ball chopped foul. And we'll try it again. Frazier took over for a third of an inning. Jason got the one hitter in Kurt Suzuki that he was asked to face. And then Neil Kotz came on and caught Joe Mauer looking at a third strike. That ended the 8th. And now Soria on to pitch the 9th. Another 2-2. That'll run the count full. Rangers trying to break their longest losing streak since way back in 2005. Last time they had an 8-game dry spell was in August of 05. Another foul ball. It's still 3-2. This the only active streak in the major leagues this long. Rangers would just as soon be off that list. Not a good one to be on top of. Another payoff pitch. Ball 4. Soria trying to drop that breaking ball over. Willingham takes the walk. No leadoff pass here in the 9th, and Kendrys Morales will step to the plate.
Only the 4th walk for Joaquin. Mentioned 35 strikeouts and 3 walks coming into the game, so that's a rarity. And I guess you'd rather see it in a 5-0 game than a 1-0 game.
Yeah.
Leadoff walk.
Yeah. Morales steps in. 0 for 3 tonight. And the first pitch has Chris Jimenez and the whirling dervish back there. He's spinning all around trying to keep that ball near home plate.
The other thing, in a 1-0 game, you might not have seen the same pitch selection. Joaquin has not had a chance to pitch a lot. He may be throwing a different assortment of pitches tonight in a 5-0 game than he normally would throw. Maybe.
That's way down and inside. It's 2 balls and no strikes. This certainly is as rough a stretch for 5 or 6 pitches as we've seen Soria have in quite a while. Hard hit, but pulled. It's a fair ball down the right field line, headed to the corner. Rios goes in to dig it out. He will get the ball back in. Stopping at third is Willingham, and into second, sliding with a double, is Kendrys Morales. It looked like Morales had pulled that foul, but it just kicked up from chalk. And Morales with his 4th double of the year.
He gets a pretty good pitch to hit, takes advantage of it. Morales has hit the ball hard 3 times tonight. Finally has something to show for it. Get a good look at it right down the line. It looked like it hit the chalk. First base umpire is Bill Welke right on top of it. Let's see if it hits the chalk. Yep.
So second and third, nobody out. Oswaldo Arcia hits the ball up the middle into center field, a base hit. 1 run is home. They're going to stop Morales at third. And the shutout is gone as Arcia, a slow roller into center field for the RBI base hit. That makes it a 5-1 Ranger lead.
Yeah, he threw him a slow curveball, and Arcia took a slow swing at it and just kind of topped it right up the middle. Pulled it just a little bit, which you would expect him to do on a slower pitch like that. Pulled it right into an out at second base, but he popped it right back through the middle for an RBI single.
No, now it becomes a situation where you really have to think about shutting it down right now. You don't want to get too far along here and get what would be a tying run coming to home plate. Eduardo Escobar, 0 for 3, stands in. He's a switch hitter batting from the left side. And the first pitch down and in for ball 1. Escobar has grounded out twice and been called out on strikes. Soria has given up a walk, a double, and now an RBI single. Got him on the fist, a little looper. Goes under the glove of Sardinas. Everybody is safe. In to score is Morales. That makes it a 5-2 Ranger lead, and now the Twins do have the tying run coming to home plate with nobody out.
Well, he jams him with the ball. We've seen that several times tonight. A simple play, but it just goes underneath Luis's glove. It looked like a play that he'll make every single time. Let's see what happens to it. Had his glove too high and missed the ball.
That goes down as an error, an RBI for Escobar. 2 runs across in the inning, and here's Sam Fuld with runners at first and second. Down and in for ball 1, and that has been a spot that Soria has had a hard time getting the ball away from it, down and into a left-hander. He has missed there with 4 or 5 consecutive fastballs. Fuld 1 for 3 tonight. Pitch up and in. That time it's 2-0. Joakim Soria trying to close things out for the Rangers and Nick Tepesch. Here's a strike, 2-1.
I mentioned it was a 5-0 game when Joakim came in. Essentially right now it is a 1-run game with the tying run at the plate.
Yep. Arcia at second, Escobar at first. Soria with a 2-1 pitch. Check swing, foul ball straight down, and the count is even now at 2-2. Crowd now starting to sense that they better start backing the Rangers up with a little enthusiasm. Two and 2. Chopper foul. We'll try it again. It's not quite nail-biting time, or it might be.
Yeah, I think it's getting there. I've been biting mine.
She's been getting a head start on it, just in case. Soria set once again. 3 and 2. Well, Fuld able to run the string all the way out. And Joakim Soria already forced to throw 21 pitches. He has yet to get an out. Fuld, the number 8 hitter, to be followed by Jorge Polanco. Three-2 pitch. Popped him up. Foul territory. Chris Jimenez off of the mask. That is a big out, number 1.
Might have gotten Fuld to chase one there. High fastball. Might have been a little bit out of the strike zone. Tough one to take under the circumstances. But a big out for Joakim. That was a borderline pitch. Couldn't take that one. That technically is a strike. Got a good location to get that kind of a pop-up.
Jimenez putting that one away, and that is a huge out, number 1. And Jorge Polanco now will come up. Well, Joakim Soria, you'll forgive him if he might be thinking about, here we go again. Same kind of thing happened to him in Minnesota the last time he gave up a run, as a matter of fact, against these Twins. Polanco's right down through there for strike 1. Back on May 27th, Twins touched him up for a couple of runs and a come-from-behind 4-3 win at Minnesota. Got the crowd on the edge of their seats. Slow breaking ball. Hits the mark. It is 0-2.
And you think that type of a pitch would be a difficult pitch for a young hitter, Jorge Polanco.
Polanco back in there, and Soria checking the signs. Line drive down the right field line. It's a fair ball, and that is headed into the corner. 1 run is home. They are waving around Escobar. The throw to the plate is not in time. On to third goes Polanco. And it is now a 5-4 Ranger lead as Polanco has a 2-run triple.
Young hitters that you don't know are unpredictable, but you would think after the slow curveball that Polanco took for his second strike that you might have set him up for a good fastball on the inside part of the plate. And that's what Soria tries right here. He tries to get the fastball in, and it is on the inside corner. But Polanco, he was ready for it. He didn't just hit it, he ripped it down the right field line. And now that lead is obviously in jeopardy.
That is Polanco's first major league hit. And boy, what a time for the young man to come through with that. A 2-run triple for your first major league safety. And the Twins have cut it to 1. They have the tying run at third base with 1 out. And Brian Dozier, their leadoff man, is at the plate.
The error certainly comes into play. The error has scored. And instead of 2 outs, there's only 1 out.
But Dozier singled his last time up. He is 1 for 4 tonight. Rangers with 1 out playing the infield back. They will give up the tying run or the all-important out. The first pitch, the breaking ball for strike 1. Dozier 0 for 1 against Soria. The 0-1 pitch in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, now the pressure really on Chris Jimenez to make sure that he gets down and blocks those good breaking balls that Soria will throw, some of them in the dirt. Got a speedy runner in Polanco at third, carrying the tying run. A ball and a strike. Rip and a miss. 1 and 2.
I mentioned Dozier is having an excellent season. He's walked a lot. He's hit some home runs. He's also struck out quite a bit. And that's exactly what Joaquin is going for right here. 61 strikeouts for Dozier. Struck out once so far today. Tried to make it 2 times. Just barely got a piece of that ball. Looked like it was about 6 inches outside.
Yeah. Ball shot right over the Ranger dugout.
Maybe more than 6 inches outside. Somehow he lunged and got a piece of it. Getting ready to say strikeout number 2, but somehow he made contact with it.
Another 1-2 pitch. Got him swinging.
He just kept. He was not going to throw him a strike, Buzz.
Right about that.
With a guy that is a little bit prone to the strikeout, but also a guy that walks a lot. But in that situation, different things go through your mind and your body reacts in a different way. You've got the tying run at third base with 1 out. You're trying to bring in the tying run, and under that pressure, Dozier was not able to lay off of that high fastball.
Well, it all comes down now to the matchup with Joaquin Soria and Kurt Suzuki. This is not the first time that these two have visited each other. Suzuki 2 out of 8 against Soria. The first pitch is outside for ball 1. Tonight, the Twins catcher is 0 for 4. A couple of ground outs and a couple of fly outs. A 5-4 Ranger lead. The Twins have come back to score 4 here in the top of the 9th inning. Ground ball to third. Cardenas across the diamond. That is a winner.
That was a little too close for comfort, but we'll take it.
A little added drama here in the 9th inning, but Soria and the Rangers prevail. Despite the Twins coming up with 4 runs in that 9th inning, they lead the tying run at third base. And Nick Tepish, kind of a wry grin on his face as he heads out to congratulate everybody coming off the field. And Nick Tepish gets the win and evens his record at 3-3 for the year. Tepix, an outstanding outing. 7 1/3 innings of 3-hit shutout baseball. 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. And the Rangers able to carry it through, albeit a little bit tenuous here in the 9th inning. But Joaquin Soria got composed and got the final couple of outs with that tying run just 90 feet away.
Yeah, to tell you how unusual that game was, Joaquin had given up 6 runs, 5 earned all season long. And he gave up 4 runs, 3 of them earned in that outing tonight. But it comes out okay. The Rangers hang on, and they do get the victory.
Well, the Rangers' 8-game losing streak is over. It is a thing of the past. They win their 36th game of the year. They rise to 36-43. They now have won 17 in 39 decisions here at home. Now 5-4 the final. We'll be back with some final thoughts right after this on TXA 21.